What's up YouTube? What's up everyone? I'm back with another video and today I'm going to predict the AFC Asian Cup of 2023 hosted in Qatar, and I think this is going to be a really nice tournament and I can't wait to give you my predictions. Are just my predictions, alright? So for sure I'm going to be wrong, and I hope to be wrong because I want to be surprised, you know, I want to be surprised by other teams, but these are my picks and I would love to hear what are your picks, and tell me all that on the comment section down below. Before I start the video, don't forget to like this video if you enjoy the content and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Alright, so let's get started, shall we? Alright, so in the first group we have Qatar, China, Tajikistan, and Lebanon. So for me here, the hosts are favorites to win this group. I don't think Qatar is that impressive compared to 2019, especially what they did in the World Cup wasn't really great, but I still think they have what it takes to at least beat this group, because this group, to be honest, is not the strongest group. And I think in second place I'm going to give it to China. I think they're a team that have been improving lately. I think you don't have to underestimate them either, because they do quite often get to the round of 16s in these competitions, so we have to give it to China. As for third place, I'm going to give it to Tajikistan, the newcomer to this competition. I want them to go a bit further, so I'm going to give it to Tajikistan. And also I think they're going to pass as best third. And unfortunately, Lebanon will come in fourth place. Alright, so in Group B, we have Australia, Uzbekistan, Syria, and India. This is a very interesting group, but here you have two clear favorites. Australia in first place, and for me, Uzbekistan in second place. In the third place, I'm going to give it to Syria, and the fourth, I'm going to give it to India. Unfortunately, I don't think India have what it takes to try and compete for that third place. As for Syria, I'm going to say they're going to advance as well as one of the best thirds, because I think here they will have a lot of points. I think Syria can easily take some points of Uzbekistan, or either Australia if they really propose themselves, but especially Uzbekistan, I think they're going to draw there. So yeah, for me, Syria will pass as well. As for Group C, we have Iran, Palestine, Hong Kong, and the United Arab Emirates. So I think this group won't be that easy for Iran, but I still think Iran have what it takes to win this group. But it's gonna be tight between Iran, and in second place I'm going to give it to the UAE. The UAE are a very common team going to the round of 16 and even going further a lot of times. So I think they have what it takes to go to the round of 16 easily, and at least in this group. As for the third one, I'm going to give it to Palestine, and fourth, Hong Kong. But unfortunately, I have Palestine and Hong Kong not advancing to the round of 16 because I don't think they're going to make a lot of points, unfortunately. Now, Group D. Group D is a very interesting group. So in this group, we have Japan, Vietnam, Iraq, and Indonesia. This, I think it's a very interesting group. Vietnam have been increasing a lot. Indonesia are not a bad team, but I think they are really in a strong group here. But for sure, for me, the favorite will be Japan here. And I think Japan is the favorite for everyone because, you know, for now, I would also say that Japan is the strongest team of Asia based on what they did in the World Cup. But now they have to capitalize that with this Asian Cup. But at least we're talking about just the group here. Japan have what it takes to come in first place. And I think I'm going to give the second place to Iraq, another great team in the top 10 teams of Asia. I think you don't have to underestimate Iraq because they have actually a pretty good squad. As for the one who comes in third place, I'm going to give it to Vietnam. Vietnam, another team that has been improving a lot in the latest years. They have the Vietnamese Messi as well. So all of those ingredients together, I think they could easily pull a third best place, and I have Vietnam passing to the round of 16, and unfortunately I have Indonesia coming in fourth place. Now for Group E, we have Korea Republic, Bahrain, Jordan, and Malaysia. So in this group, I think Korea also, like Japan, they have not the easiest group ever, but still it's enough for Korea to pass comfortably, at least with 7 points to the next round. So I'm going to say Korea here will go through in the round of 16 as first. Here I'm going to give a surprise. I think Jordan will have that second spot, and I think Malaysia will have that third spot. So I'm eliminated Bahrain, unfortunately. And for me, Jordan and Malaysia will pass. Malaysia will pass as a best third. I know I'm going bold here, but I don't know. You know, all of these tournaments, you always have a surprise, and for me, my surprise will be Malaysia, at least for this group. As for the last group, we have Saudi Arabia, Kyrgyzstan, Oman, and Thailand. For me here, Saudi Arabia are in a very comfortable group, and they should pass first without too much problem. So For me, first Saudi Arabia, and for me, the second place, I'm going to give it to Kyrgyzstan. I think it's a team that we don't talk too much about it, but about them, sorry, but I don't remember which AFC Cup. They went to the quarterfinals, and actually they were pretty solid, and I think they have what it takes to come in second place. For me, in third place, I'm going to give it to Oman, and fourth, I'm going to give it to Thailand, but unfortunately, I think both of them will not go to the round of 16, unfortunately. So now we have the round of 16 already composed, and if my predictions are 100% right, this is what we'll have. So we will have China versus UAE, Japan versus Malaysia, Australia versus Tajikistan, and Saudi Arabia versus Jordan. And on the other side of the bracket, we will have Iran versus Syria, Korea Republic versus Iraq, Qatar versus Vietnam, and Uzbekistan versus Kyrgyzstan. So let's go to the first one with China and the UAE. Here, I'm gonna give it to the UAE. I think, although China, they're a team that has been improving lately, I don't think they have what it takes to take down the UAE, and I'm going to give it to the UAE. Especially, you have to remember that it's not the same thing when you're playing in the groups and when you're playing 1 against 1. 1v1, it's another tournament that's starting, and I think the UAE have more experience. They know better these type of situations compared to China, and yeah, I'm gonna give it to the UAE advancing. And now as for the other match, Japan versus Malaysia, I'm sorry, Malaysia, here it's where the dream has to end, because I think Japan are in a really good form right now to not qualify to the quarterfinals, and I believe they have what it takes to go to the quarterfinal, especially against Malaysia. So for me, Japan will encounter the UAE in the quarterfinals. Now let's go Australia versus Tajikistan. The same thing here. Australia are in a really good form, and Tajikistan, like, it's already a lot what they did. I don't think Australia are going to waste this opportunity to go and compete for this AFC. So yeah, Australia will pass. So Saudi Arabia versus Jordan. So here I could have an upset. I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan manages to eliminate Saudi Arabia, but I'm not gonna go there. I think Saudi Arabia are still a decent side of Asia. What they did at the World Cup was okay, in my opinion. Like, they beat Argentina, which was fantastic, but then I've seen some flaws of Saudi Arabia, especially against Mexico. So I don't know, like, I feel like Jordan is the type of team that could really hurt Saudi Arabia, but I'm still gonna give it to the Saudis. I still believe that they have what it takes to beat this Jordan side and go to the quarterfinals, but I don't think it will be that easy. So, but for me, yeah, Saudi Arabia will pass. Iran versus Syria, I think here Iran will win by a score of 1 goal, you know, like maybe a 1-0. It's gonna be tight. So this is the match that is really hard. Korea Republic versus Iraq. Iraq could pull it off. Iraq could eliminate Korea Republic. It's just, I think the moment of Korea Republic is too great, and I don't think they're going to. Honestly, anything could happen here. So here, I know I can be wrong, but I'm going to give it to Korea Republic, because for me, they're one of the favorites to win the AFC Cup. And also, I don't know, like, I think this is going to be a match that will go to extra time and Korea will win it there. But let's just say like that. But I don't think it's going to be easy, because Iraq, like I said, for me, they're in the top 10 best teams of Asia. So really don't underestimate Iraq. All right, so for me, Qatar versus Vietnam, I think here, again, the same as Iran versus Syria, I think Qatar are going to beat Vietnam, but like by a score of 1 goal. I wouldn't even be surprised if this goes to extra time and Qatar wins there, because you don't have to underestimate Vietnam. They're actually a pretty decent side, but since Qatar are playing at home, I think that's a really good advantage for Qatar, and Qatar will pass to go to the quarterfinals. And finally, Uzbekistan versus Kyrgyzstan. I think Uzbekistan are the clear favorites to pass here, and they will go to the quarterfinals as well. All right, so now the quarterfinals. Now it's really interesting. Now I'm looking at it right now, and now we're talking, like, now we have like some big matchups coming up. So the UAE versus Japan. So for me, UAE versus Japan, I'm gonna go with Japan. Like, I think Japan they have what it takes to beat the UAE. And yeah, for me, I don't have too much to discuss here. Japan will pass. Now, Australia versus Saudi Arabia. Like I said, I think Saudi Arabia, the match with Jordan will really hurt them. And also, I just believe Australia did a better World Cup than Saudi Arabia. But also, like, after the World Cup, I still believe like they have they still have that level that they show at the World Cup. Compared to Saudi Arabia, I don't know where they are exactly. So Australia gives me more security, and that's why I think they have what it takes to beat Saudi Arabia. So for me, Australia will meet Japan in the semifinals of the AFC Cup. Now, Iran versus Korea Republic. So Iran, for me, when they were with Carlos Queiroz, I know a lot of people don't like him as a manager of Iran. I think he was actually pretty good with Iran. I know Carlos Queiroz, although he's really more of a defensive person, so he's not really big into attacking, and that could be something that I think in Iran they didn't like that, and I understand that. It's just like, I will admit that in 2022 I've seen a weaker Iran, and I still see that Iran, not the greatest Iran I've seen. So yeah, I don't think Iran have what it takes compared to Korea Republic. I think Korea Republic are in a better shape, and also like they're in a better moment than Iran. So I'm gonna give it to Korea Republic here. I think it's gonna be, again, but I think this is gonna be a close match as well. Like I think Korea Republic will win this like 2-1. And the last matchup, Qatar versus Uzbekistan. So in every tournament, you need like this bold pick, you know? And I don't know why I have a soft spot for Uzbekistan, but because they're good. Uzbekistan is the best team in the ranking FIFA that has never qualified to the World Cup. And they are actually a great side of Asia. Like for me, they're possibly in the, yeah, for sure they're in the top 10 of Asia, but for me, I think they're like the 7th or 8th best team in Asia. So I think Uzbekistan, it's their time. They're going to put an upset to Qatar, and they're going to beat to Qatar in Qatar. And I have Uzbekistan advancing to the semifinals of the AFC. Alright, so now we have the semifinals. Japan versus Australia and Korea Republic versus Uzbekistan. So Japan versus Australia, this is crazy what I'm going to say, but alright, so I know Japan are the favorites. I know I want Japan to win this cup. I think they have the level. They are the favorite team to everybody's eyes, like the strongest, but that can play in the pressure, but also like it depends also like how they come in this match. I don't know, man. I don't have the feeling that Japan can beat Australia, and I'm going to go bold here. I'm going to say that Australia will beat Japan, like maybe on penalties or something, but they will beat Japan and they will go to the final of the AFC Cup. I know it's a very bold pick. It's just like, not all the time the favorite will always win, you know, like it's not always like that. Especially, you have to remember that, especially when you play your continent, those countries know you so much. It's not the same thing that Japan goes and plays against Germany. Germany, they don't know Japan that much. They don't play every time with them. Compared to Australia, South Korea, Vietnam, Qatar, so it's not the same. You know, it's not the same. So this is going to be tight, and I believe that Australia have what it takes to beat Japan and put a big upset to this competition. And now for the other semi-final, Korea Republic versus Uzbekistan. I think here is where the Uzbekistan dream has to stop. I don't think they can win against Korea Republic, especially knowing that Korea Republic have this huge chance to go back to a final that they didn't win in 2015. They're going to do everything that they can to go and win this trophy. So I have Korea Republic advancing as well. And my final will be Australia versus Korea Republic. The 2015 final is repeating once again, and that time Australia won in their home soil. Can Korea win and get revenge from Australia for that time? Son never got the chance to lift the AFC trophy. Son has been probably the most important player of Asia in the last decade, especially like in Tottenham, what he's been doing with the Premier League and everything. Like when you think of Asia, Son is the first Asian player that people think about. And I would love to see Son lift the trophy. And honestly, I think it's his time. I'm gonna say that South Korea will be the AFC Asian Cup 2023 champions. Son is going to lift his trophy. I see a revenge story here. And finally, South Korea will have that trophy that it's been a while they didn't win. So guys, that was my prediction for the AFC Cup 2023 in Qatar. I know like I said, these are just my predictions. Of course, they're going to be wrong. I invite you to comment your predictions on the comment section down below. Don't forget to give a like if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace, everyone.